today we're going to show you how to tune a snare drum with the TuneBot. As you can see, this snare drum has 0 head tension on the top, and if we go to the resonance side, also 0 tension. I'm going to leave the snares on and just hold them up for this exercise because it's going to be a little quicker for me, but you'll get the same idea. So step 1, I'm using the same heads on this video just to save a few bucks, but if you are replacing your heads, I had the Evans drill bit key. I paid about 12 bucks for this thing. When removing heads, this is a dream come true. Put it on the lug, turn, boom, go all the way around both sides. You can have the head off of these drums in no time. When you're putting the head on, the only thing I would suggest if you're using one of these is you can use it, and then when you get just close enough that it's not tight, stop and go the rest of the way by hand. But even putting the heads on, this thing saves me so much time. I'm really wishing I bought this years ago. First thing you want to do is get all these lugs finger tight, which I've already done. When you're changing the head, you want to make sure it's seated properly. There's other videos online how to do that. This head is seated properly, I checked. And next we'll get the drum key. Now I usually give each of these about either 1 or 2 turns, depending on how far I want to go with the drum key in a star pattern, before putting the TuneBot on, because right now it's not going to make any type of note. Alright, so what I like to do is put my drum on a pillow so the second head doesn't give any type of frequency, and you're just getting the one head tuned up here. So we'll hit at one of the lugs, 297. Hit the next one, 290, 297, 297, 296, 296. If you get a weird reading like that, it's picking up some overtones. So you can hit over here, hit filter, and now if I hit back over here, see 304. So you go around the drum, but I know right now I want the bottom head. I usually like it around, I would say, anywhere between 350 and 400. I personally like mine very tight, so I'm going to go and crank this up a fair bit more. So after I get it tuned up, I usually give it a bit of a push, because when you go, if you tune a snare drum and you don't give it a little push after and you hit it with your stick, the air pressure is going to make it go to tune in seconds. It's kind of like a guitar player stretching his strings, you could think. So what are we at here? 400, 401, 402, 401, 400, 398. So that one I might tighten. 402, 401. Now I'm going to say if I'm within 400, 401, 399, I'm probably not going to mess with it too much, because if I now tighten this guy a little bit, it's probably going to be 401 over there, yep. 399, so it's, as long as it's close, I could sit here all day. I could get them all to 400, but it's just going to take way too long. So the bottom is now at 400, which is tight. Now we flip the snare, rest it on the pillow once again, and do the same thing. Get these finger tight. And I'm going to give each one of these a full turn in a star pattern. I'll try not to forget this time. Okay, so 238, 238. Oh, that one's, there we go. If you push too hard too, you can affect it. So just lightly. It would almost even work to put a tiny dab of moon gel in the middle while you tune these. So 235. If you like your snare really loose and you had the reso side loose, you would probably be okay at this tuning for a very loose snare drum. Because my resonance side is so tight, the difference between the two heads, it's not going to sound good. So I'm going to go to, let's say, about 350 on the batter head here. I like my snare tight though, that's just a personal preference. I think you could probably do anywhere from 250 to 400. So let's crank this up a little bit and see where we're at. 343, 342. It's all very close. And if you were listening, I don't know if you can hear it just through this mic because I don't have a snare mic on it. It does sound in tune with itself. Alright, so if I was to do this again, my brass snare likes to be 400 on the bottom, 350 on the top. This is too tight even for me. We'll hit it a couple times so you can see. It sounds pretty good. It's a little too dry. That may be due to the tuning. The bottom head might be a little too tight. Does have a good rebound. It's nice for buzz rolls. But yeah, it's a little tight. If we turn the snares off for a second. And lastly, what I would do on a regular head, probably not this one just because it already is dry. Put a piece of moon gel on there. It sounds amazing. It sounds in the room like a gunshot. Let's EQ that for a second. Sorry, EQ, compression, reverb, all that stuff. One thing I should have done earlier is to turn off the snare, tap the bottom here, get your note. If you hit drum save, you can select which drum. So I picked snare. Let's say this is my third one I'm doing. Snare number 3. You can now select top, bottom, or the regular, the open note, which is the middle, and save. You can do that up to 10 times for each one. So you can have 10 snares, 10 toms, 10 bass, top and bottom head in there, which is nice to have. The other thing is once you have this saved, I could go out, replace these heads, get the same head, same drum, put them back, it'll sound the exact same. So if you have it dialed in perfectly, you don't even have to mess around. Any guys that are just starting out, you're going to want to tune this head in tune with itself. So basically, each lug, just make sure they're all registering at least within 2, and same with the other head. I usually make it a little tighter. I'm like a drier sounding snare. This may be overdoing it, but I know a lot of guys when they start out, the first question is, oh, how do I make my snare drum not have a ping sound to it? So first tip, coated head. Or, as always, you can slap a little piece of moon gel just on the edge here. The further towards the center of the drum you get, the more it is going to muffle. So if you have it right against the side here out of your way, you can still hear it a little bit. If you go in a bit, definitely changes the sound. So that is one thing to consider as well. The other thing is this is probably a 40-year-old low-end steel snare drum. It's nothing to write home about. It's going to be a lot easier to tune any of the modern snare drums with a nice bearing edge. This thing is pretty old. So if you like this video, hit the subscribe button or hit like. I'm going to try and make a lot of product reviews, drum techniques, playthroughs, just all kinds of videos drum related this year. So yeah, look out for more videos and hope to hear some comments from you guys.